smashing at underwater obstacles and coastal mines, over the heads of the first wave of assault troops, firing their massed salvos with close precision until the troops were 300 yards from the beaches. The fury from the air went on and on. Our airmen in tactical support of the ground forces took no rest that day. Back from one sortie, they gassed up, loaded their bombs and ammunition belts, and grimly went out again and again. The big guns raised their sights as the assault boats went in and smashed at the enemy's gun batteries farther inland. Yet so ingeniously fortified was this coastal zone that despite the deluge of bombs and shells from our air and sea bombardment, enemy counterfire was still effective as our men neared the beaches. Our first assault wave had a full share of heartbreaking misadventures. Many of their boats were hung up and wrecked on steel hedgehogs. Plunging fire from enemy batteries was extremely accurate. In the confusion, boats went astray or got out of control and crashed into one another. Forced to jump out of sinking boats, many men had to discard their weapons and equipment to save themselves from drowning. Casualties in the first hour were heavy. The British fired at fortified houses as they came in, smashing many a sniper's nest and observation post. In one American sector, fire from enemy pillboxes kept many of our men pinned against the shore cliffs. Our casualties were high. In the British sector, special duty engineers hit the beach first, with the medics and infantry following. With the beachhead secure, the infantrymen lost no time in driving on to other objectives. The second assault wave came in. In one American sector, enemy resistance was only sporadic and was quickly silenced. Our forces made substantial penetrations in the first hours. So it went on the beaches of Normandy this fateful day in June. Reinforcements continued to pour ashore. Artillery and heavy engineering equipment were firmly established. The German boast that an invading force could not remain ashore for 9 hours had been flung back on the now desperate defenders. Hitler's fortress had been cracked. The great gamble had been won, having accomplished what many European military leaders believed never could be done, a cross-channel invasion. The Allies were now in position to apply their great power to the methodical destruction of the German armed might, to bring retribution to the fiendish criminals that had conceived it, to scourge it and them from the face of the earth.
Well, I'm sure some of those scenes have brought back memories to a great number of you. In connection with that war over there, I've been asked, as have many other officers and enlisted men who returned from Korea, what the basic differences are in the combat between that type of war and the Korean conflict. Well, my answer has always been that there are about 3 or 4 major differences. The first one, of course, has to do with enemy tactics. I've always considered that the Korean type of fighting is feudalistic, medieval, in the sense that the Chinese fight for the citadels, the tops of the mountains, and therefore require us to go in after them. Terrain, of course, is always a great factor, and in Korea you have extremely abrupt terrain, high mountains and very low valleys. And that reminds me of a story of 2 men that I overheard talking. One soldier said to the other, he said, what are you going to do when you get out of here? He's, of course, speaking getting out of Korea, and the other one said, well, he said, I'm going out in Kansas and build myself a home out there. And the other one said, well, what kind of house are you going to build? Well, he says, I don't know exactly, but I know this. He says, it will not have a single step in it because I'm not going to climb anything anymore, which I believe gives you a pretty good indication of the impression that terrain makes in Korea. Well, that about winds it up for today, ladies and gentlemen, but we'd like particularly for you to be with us next week when we have a most unusual program. It's our intention to interview a communist Chinese soldier. So until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Colonel Quinn speaking for the combat infantrymen who ask you to look twice at the man who wears the blue badge, for it's the mark of a man.
The Big Picture is a weekly television report to the nation on the activities of the Army at home and overseas. Produced by the Signal Corps Pictorial Center. Presented by the U.S. Army in cooperation with this station. You can be an important part of the big picture. You can proudly serve with the best equipped, the best trained, the best fighting team in the world today, the United States Army.